Hi everyone, it's Sandy, and today I'm doing the rapid fire book tag, which was created by Kate from GirlReading, and I was also tagged by her, so thank you Kate for tagging me and for creating this tag. The main point of this tag is to answer these questions without thinking too much about it, so that is what I'm going to do, ebook or physical book. I'm going to have to go with physical books. As you can see from my background, I own a lot of physical books, and I am very happy with my collection. Paperback or hardback? My answer is hardback. I prefer owning hardbacks. However, I do prefer reading paperbacks. I just like owning hardcovers just because they look very nice on the shelf. Also, hardcover books don't get damaged as easily as paperbacks do. Online or in-store book shopping. If I had the money, I would do in-store book shopping, but online is just so much cheaper and I don't have to leave the house, so online it is. Trilogies or series? This one is a bit difficult, but I'm going to go with series because it expands on the world and the characters. You get to see more from the characters you love over a period of more than 3 books, but with trilogies, you don't have to wait as long for the books to come out, but I do prefer series more than trilogies. Heroes or villains? This is also a pretty hard one, but I think I'm going to go with heroes. I do like reading about someone, you know, saving the day, saving the world, stuff like that. But with villains, I like them if they're like morally ambiguous. A book you want everyone to read. This is a very hard question. I know I said that for the past 2 questions, but this one is very hard because you're choosing a book that you want everyone to read. Everyone has different opinions, everyone has different book tastes, but I'm just going to go with The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I feel like that's a classic YA dystopian book. Even though it's super popular, it's a book that got me into reading, and I know it got a lot of other people into reading, so hopefully by recommending it to everyone, more people will get into reading once they read it. Recommend an underrated book. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It follows teenagers that are part of this FBI program and they help solve cases. If you're a fan of Criminal Minds, check the series out because I feel like you would really enjoy it. I just really love the series and I want more people to read it. And now I'm going to stop talking about it because I talked about it way too often. Another underrated book that I wanted to recommend is Half-Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the first book in the Covenant series, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Lux series. That series is one of my favorites, but the Covenant series is not as talked about as the Lux series, and I love it. It has to do with Greek mythology. The first book is a bit similar to Vampire Academy, so if you're a fan of Vampire Academy and you like Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing, I recommend this series. Those books are super fun and entertaining, as usual with any of Jennifer L. Armentrout's books. The last book you finished. Speaking of Jennifer L. Armentrout, the last book that I finished was Fall With Me by J. Lynn, which is the 4th book in Jennifer L. Armentrout's new adult series, Wait For You. I wasn't the biggest fan of this book. I still enjoyed it, but not as much as I did with the other books in the series. I'll talk more about it in my August wrap-up. By the time this video is uploaded, my August wrap-up should be posted, so go check that out if you want to hear more of my thoughts on this book. The last book you bought. This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This was like $8 on Amazon, so obviously I had to get it. Weirdest thing you've used as a bookmark. Even though I have plenty of bookmarks, I tend to always use things that aren't actual bookmarks. I've used candy wrappers, my phone, receipts, tissues. Used books, yes or no? That is a hard yes. If you've been watching my videos for a while now, you know that I always like buying books from the Amazon marketplace, and those books are used, and I like going to half-price books to buy used books as well. Top 3 favorite genres. I like sci-fi, fantasy, and contemporary. Borrow or buy? Even though I use my library quite often, I do prefer buying books because I don't have like a deadline to read that book in a certain amount of time. I like to use the library to check out books that I'm not sure whether I will like, and if I do end up liking that book, then I will end up buying that book. Characters or plot? I'm going to go with characters. I could read a book with a plot that's not very interesting, but if it has some interesting characters, then I will enjoy it a lot more. Long or short books? And this kind of depends. With fantasy, I do prefer longer books, but with contemporary, I do like me some short books. For me, a good page number for a book is between 300 to 400 pages. But with fantasy books, I do prefer them to be over 400 pages. Long or short chapters? I love short chapters. With short chapters, I feel like I get through a book a lot faster. Name the first 3 books you think of. This Savage Song, The Last Star, and The Beauty of Darkness. The reason why I picked those titles is because they're sitting right next to me, so they were immediately in my line of sight. Books that make you laugh or cry. Although I do like getting emotional when reading a book, I prefer having a lot of fun reading a book, laughing at the characters and their interactions and what's going on, so definitely books that make me laugh. Our world or fictional worlds, and I'm going with our worlds. I know a lot of people have said fictional worlds, but our world has fictional worlds. In our world, I can read books and live vicariously through so many different fictional worlds. There are quite a handful of fictional worlds that aren't that great, and I wouldn't want to live there. Audiobooks, yes or no? For me, yes, I do like listening to audiobooks. Especially during the school year, I don't have as much time to read, so listening to an audiobook as I'm traveling to and from school definitely helps me read a lot more than I usually would. Do you ever judge a book by its cover? When I'm in a bookstore and I'm looking through all the books and I see a pretty cover, I'm more likely to pick that book up and read the synopsis, and then I will decide whether or not I'll buy it. When I see a book with an ugly cover, I'm less likely to go towards that book and to read the synopsis, but the ultimate decision of me purchasing a book with a pretty cover is the synopsis. So if the synopsis sounds interesting and the book has a pretty cover, then I'm more likely to buy that book than a book that has a pretty cover, but with a synopsis that's not as interesting. Book to movie or book to TV adaptation. This kind of depends on the book, but I do prefer movie adaptation. With TV show adaptation, the storyline eventually kind of diverts from the actual storyline, so I don't like that. The only book to movie adaptation that I've watched and have actually read the books is Shadowhunters. The show is like, I'm sure everyone has their opinions on the show. A movie or TV show you prefer to its book. This is kind of my go-to answer, but it's The Duff by Cody Keplinger. I watched the movie with a friend who hasn't read the book and she really enjoyed it, and I really love the movie as well, and I definitely prefer it over the book. And the last question is series or standalones. I have a lot of favorite books that are standalones, but I love series. Like I said earlier when talking about trilogies versus series, I like that series expands on the world, it expands on the characters. When I read standalones, I always want more, but when I read series, it fulfills that need of wanting more. That is it for this tag. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!